So if you're watching this, we're talking about being a full arch all-on-4 clinic and just being a clinic that does implants.
I'm a big believer in myself, right? But it gets to a point where if he saw that I was good enough and he believed in me and he trains people around the world and he's very honest, man.
But if we do the things that are right, I mean, if we do what's best possible, we're going to have the best possible outcome. And that's what I believe you guys are here for. Get it done. Just worry about keeping them nice and clean and don't worry about anything else.
If you ever feel that because you're coming down to Mexico and it's something that you mentioned and you're paying less, that it's less quality of work, I would say it's none of that. I just say it's a different market, but the trainings, the techniques, the materials, everything we have the same, or I would even say better.
What does it mean for us to have our own lab? Like patients say, well, you have your own lab. That's great. Good for you. But what does it mean to them?
Quality control. We have more quality control. We can actually see what's going on in the lab.
All that together for one smile. That's a lot of stuff.
It's a lot of things in the background that a lot of people don't see, but
that just reflects the level of loving what you do.
It's loving what we do, and it's respecting the patient.
Because they put their trust and everything on us.
It was all a dream. I used to read Word Up magazine. Salt and pepper and heavy D up in the limousine.
Welcome back to Supreme Dental Podcast Studio. You can be anywhere else in the world right now, but you're here with us. We appreciate that. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Remember, this podcast was meant for you, our patients. My wife and I are the owners of Supreme Dental Clinic. We're on Spotify and on Apple Podcasts, and hopefully you'll be listening to us or hearing us or looking at us whenever you want. Today we have Dr. Eli. How you doing, Dr. Eli?
I'm doing great, Frank. How about you?
Hey, Happy New Year's, man.
Happy New Year.
Nice and fresh.
Yes, sir. We were recharged and ready to kick some, you know what.
Yeah, you know what? I felt like I haven't done a podcast in a full year. It's kind of weird. That's crazy. George, you gain weight? I mean, looking good, bro. I'm just kidding. So today I really want to talk about something that a lot of our age has been talking about. I've been listening to it for quite some time. And to tell you the truth, to some point, is getting me sick and tired of, is we want to talk about what is actually a full arch clinic. Okay. What are the difference between a full arch clinic, a clinic that does all on 4, that does a full arch, and a clinic that just does implants? Because some of our patients are misled and confused by this matter.
And mistreated.
Yeah, and miss everything, because then people have to fix it, including us, and we've seen some scary stuff.
And it gets more difficult every time you have to fix stuff.
Exactly, and then it's more money out of their pockets. So, talk to me. What is actually a full arch?
A full arch clinic, it's the difference between a full arch clinic and just the regular implants. It's full arch. We're looking at rebuilding straight from that foundations, the mouth, everything. It's not just the teeth themselves, but it's also gums and bone. So right off the bat, the engineering, the architecture is different. The planning is also different from individual implants. Sometimes people tend to forget that individual implants are different. They're shorter, and sometimes they're even thinner than when we do full arch.
Who forgets that? The patients or the dentist?
Both. And I think it's more because of the dentist, not because of the patient. And I think when implantologists, when they think they know about full arch, and when they think they know about implants and haven't taken any full arch courses, they try to apply the same rules from regular implants to full arch. And maybe the implants, once they place them in, they do stick to the bone. But once you add the prosthesis, the final prosthesis, that's when they start having the failures down the road.
The wear and tear.
The pressure that's being applied to the implants, if they're too short, if they're not angled, if they're not engaging better bone, I think that's when the problems start. Because just placing 4 implants, like an all-on-4, anybody could do it, but there's strategic places where we want to place them, angles, where the access holes come out, no cantilevers. I mean, it's a whole different game. And I understand that patients don't know the difference, but I think it's up to us to tell them what the difference is and how we could do the work a whole lot better.
So if you're watching this, we're talking about being a full arch all-on-4 clinic and just being a clinic that does implants. So very importantly, if you talk to a clinic and they say they have an implant specialist, that does not mean they do full arch. Does that mean that implant specialist does a full arch?
Not at all.
We've had implant specialists here at the clinic that did not know diddly squat about full arch. And some of them are no longer here. And we have other doctors that are not implant specialists, but taking these courses and are implantologists that are doing great because it's different. It's different arts, could it be? Or?
Yeah, definitely. And I know a lot of doctors that are world-renowned full arch specialists that don't do it single implants.
There you go.
Dr. Juan Gonzalez, he says that I think he's one of the best in the world at full arch, but he says personally that he doesn't like to do single implants because it's different. So he avoids single implants.
So there's different protocols.
Yeah, different protocols.
Different planifications.
Different implants.
Different goal.
Yes.
So that's why when I see all these different pictures on Instagram from all these other clinics that say they're full arch clinics and their implants are all straight, there's no angulation, they're little tiny ones.
Short.
Maybe that person knows how to do implants. Well, obviously, I want to hope that they know how to do implants. But you see the big difference, and George will put a picture up here of someone like yourself, some of our doctors that we have, and some of the best doctors in the world, how they actually do things differently.
Right.
Now, one of the things that really got to me, and I think I heard about it last year for the first time, pardon my voice because I've been kind of sick, is that there's no better bone than your own bone.
That is correct.
So back in the day, it was all about, we're going to do all this bone grafting. We're going to do all these kinds of bone regeneration. Then you're going to come back and we're going to do another sinus lift. And then you're going to come back and we're going to hope upon the star and hope that sticks. But now there's new protocols of doing things, new ways of doing things. New to us, but they've been around for quite some time. Can you tell me a little bit about those?
So the difference between grafting and no grafting, right? If we're doing individual implants, it's better to graft.
Okay.
Right, because we're less invasive to where we place the implants. If we're going to place an implant on the upper teeth and we need a sinus lift, we might do that because maybe the second molar is on the way. But if there's no second molar, we could do a pterygoid. I'm gonna send George some pictures as well. But when we're doing full arch, we're not only gonna hold teeth, we're also gonna hold the gum and bone that's missing on the prosthesis. So we need better stability. We need to anchor better bone that's actually been there already. So, and we have the way we measure bone, it's by density. We have different types of bone, and cortical bone is where the bone ends, and it's always very thick. So we always want to anchor those places so where we know that the bone is already there. We don't have to be sure if the graft is going to stick or not, if your body's going to reject it or not. We know that that bone is there and it's going to help out. Sometimes we do graft a little just to make sure that we don't lose volume, but most, and I think all of our implants are inside the people's actual bone, cortical bone.
So what are some of the things that you use? So I know that the Patsy protocol.
Yes.
Tell me about what difference does it make to do a nasal floor lift, transnasal floor lifts, all those different palatal approach, things that our patients will probably never hear about if they go to a clinic that is not a full arch clinic.
That's very good, because people that don't do a lot of full arch, they just tend to place the implants on the bone that's not cortical bone, on just the bone that's weak. It's a little softer, and they just place the implant, let it heal, and when they come back, the implant's going to work for a while, but holding such big prosthesis is not going to work. When we do the Patsy protocol that was created by Juan Gonzalez and Dr. Holtzclaw, their whole philosophy is placing implants to better bone that we know that even after years of work, and their work has clinical studies and everything, that bone is going to be there even though we applied bite pressure or things like that. So when we do nose lifts, we want to make sure we anchor the nose of the bone. When we do zygomas, we want to make sure we engage the zygomas. When we do pterygoids, we want to make sure that we engage the pterygoid bone that we know that even if we lose teeth, that bone is always going to be there. Because the maxillary bone, if you lose the teeth, the bone's going to go away, right? But those bones that we always want to engage our implants are always going to be there.
That's a game. Well, patient, that's a game changer, because patients come down and they invest time, sometimes pain, and then money.
Right.
They want to be done the right way. And it's very important. One of the things you said is the implants that you get somewhere else, that it's a clinic that's not a full arch clinic, are going to stick around for a couple years. But then after the wear and tear, you biting, remember, you no longer know how hard you're biting, because now you're biting into a titanium. Pretty much your roots are titanium. Then you start chipping off of that bone slowly but surely. And just like the bone grafting on an LM4. And next thing you know, you start losing one implant. And then you go back to the clinic, and then they say, they blame you. Well, I don't know what happened. Well, they don't know what happened because they're not a full arch clinic. And if they would have done it right from the beginning, it probably wouldn't have happened. It's very important also, even if you do things right, guys, sometimes things still go not the way we want them to go. It's just like any medical thing. But if we do the things that are right, I mean, if we do what's best possible, we're going to have the best possible outcome. And that's what I believe you guys are here for. Get it done. Just worry about keeping them nice and clean, and don't worry about anything else.
That is correct.
Now, you've seen many cases like this before, and then a lot of people here, a lot of patients, when they call us, they say, well, so-and-so, Yeti Dental says that they're $2,000 cheaper, $1,000 cheaper. They can do it in 3 days. You can do it in 6. It blows my mind. First of all, the patient's calling us back because they know they want to go with us, and they're just trying to make themselves believe that the other place is better. Because if somebody gives you a better deal and you believe they're just as good, you ain't calling the other place back. You're sticking to whoever you think is the best at the best price. But you know the quality is with us, so they're trying to make us match the price. But we cannot do that because we have 10 international accreditations. We have you guys have busted your butts. You're about to go to Brazil again, if I'm not mistaken.
No, Alonso and Luis.
I'm sorry, they're about to go to Brazil. You're about to go to Vegas. You're going to be with Dr.
Juan Gonzalez. The Holtzkopf's probably going to be there. Alex Young.
Sinada going?
Dr. Sinada is going as well. I mean, it's going to be star-studded.
It's going to be great. You're going to be there?
I'm going to be there, yeah.
So it's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome. And it's you and then Dr. Alonso and Dr. Luis are about to go to Brazil. Pretty much the same weekend that you're gone, they take off with Dr. Vanderlim.
Yes, and they're also going to see extramaxillary techniques.
And they're going to talk about, pterygoids, the zygomatic implants.
Transnasal
and about using your own bone, And it's amazing. It's amazing what you guys do. It's amazing the places you guys go to. And a lot of these places are beautiful to visit, but you guys, like Mykonos, you guys came back from Mykonos, Greece, and you guys were like, that was probably the best training I've ever been to. That was before you went to the one in Brazil with Dr. Juan Gonzalez.
Right.
And then I'm pretty sure that this year there's going to be several of them that every time you're going to come back is going to be something different. Right now you're looking at a different training also in another part of the world. I forgot where.
Portugal.
So it's these things that make us different. Is me being in the best possible hands.
With the best facilities as well.
So let's talk a little bit about facilities now that you bring that up. So, for example, what does it mean for us to have our own lab? Like patients say, well, you have your own lab. That's great. Good for you. But what does it mean to them?
Quality control. We have more quality control. We can actually see what's going on in the lab. We actually see the materials because, as you mentioned in the past, there's zirconia, but there's also different brands of zirconia.
A lot of different brands.
It's like cars, right? All of them are cars, but there's different brands of cars. And we make sure here at the clinic, and the patients are welcome to walk into the lab with no problem to see their work being milled, how we use Amangirbach. All the discs are Amangirbach. The fresadoras, how do you say it in English?
The milling machines?
The milling machines are also Amangirbach, top notch. The CT scans, the scanners that we have, the intraoral scanners. We also have the PIC dental. It's called precise implant capture, where we actually have the exact position and angling of the implants. And we also have, which is like a little Christmas gift for us. I'm spoiled, guys. I'm actually really spoiled here.
He's a spoiled brat.
Yes. The Shining 3D, which is a direct competition with Pick Dental, and they also do photogrammetry, which is the technology that they use on aerospatial dynamics to make sure that everything matches perfectly. We have both technologies to make sure that everything is perfect. So there's a lot of protocols that we're using that the top-notch institutes in the world and in the United States are using. That's who we're training with. That's the protocols of what we're following, and that's the materials that we're using. So if you ever feel that because you're coming down to Mexico and it's something that you mentioned and you're paying less, that it's less quality of work, I would say it's none of that. I just say it's a different market, but the trainings, the techniques, the materials, everything we have the same, or I would even say better.
I was just talking to you guys about it not too long ago, and I said, you know what? I don't want our patients to compare us to another clinic here in Mexico. Actually, I don't want our patients to compare us to any clinic here in Los Algodones. Because to me, and this is my opinion, there's no comparison. There's nobody that has invested in the technology. There's nobody that has invested like you guys in the time of being with these top dentists in the world. Nobody that invests even on George, making sure that people are seeing what we're doing.
Yes, the agents.
The agents that are staying, they're on the phone 24/7. Nobody does that. Don't compare us to the clinic across the street. Compare us to your clinic back home that you didn't want to pay that money or that you couldn't pay that money. Compare us to that, because 9 out of 10, we're going to beat them, or if not to say 10 out of 10. I have not yet met a clinic in the United States or found a clinic that has more than 6 international accreditations. The clinics that do have 6 international accreditations are close. The clinics that do have their own lab and that are close to our technology are like 3 times more expensive than us because they're selling quality.
Right.
All right. So if they compare us to the bottom of the barrel in the United States, the bottom, the people that are barely starting, don't have nothing, we still come better in price. But in quality, we're not even close to being compared to them. They should be honored to be compared to a clinic like our clinic, even being here in Mexico. So that's one of the things that I hope that our patients see, is that just because somebody over the phone is telling you, oh yeah, they're just as good, their doctors don't, they scan something perhaps, send it to the lab. The lab does their thing. They don't know what machine they're using to get milled. They don't know what disc they're being used. They don't know what type of, the communication hopefully is good. Hopefully they don't send it back and then the doctor starts making a lot of adjustments. I want to make it clear that we open our own lab, that I did not want to open my own lab.
He did not want to open his own lab.
It was not something that was like, oh, one day when I open my lab. It never in my thoughts, and I would fight. They pretty much pulled me kicking and screaming to make my own lab. And Elias, my wife, I told Elias straight out, I'm never going to make my lab, bro. I'm just not going to do it. Like, I didn't even want to hear about it. But it was a type of technology that we were bringing in, the type of just strength that they were bringing dentally. Dentally. Is that a new word that I just made up? Dentally?
Sounds cool. Yeah.
That should stick in the dictionary if it's not. Dentally, they were bringing all these kinds of just dental greatness to our clinic, and we needed to pump it up with the best technology possible. And there was no lab here that I believed was up to par to help us out. We tried to train a lab, man. We tried. And it was hell, because not only did we had to learn it, we had to make them learn it. And then you guys were in their lab, and you guys would tell me, damn, Frank, like, after I left out of here, I was 2 hours in the lab, and, and that wasn't fair. So at some point, they did not want to invest in something different to make our technology be the best possible. And the people that did have that technology, I did not like the materials that were being used, perhaps, or aesthetically. I like to control things if I can control them.
Yes.
So us being able to have our lab, we'll control the controllables, and we're just going to get better and better and better and better. And just today, you had somebody that came in, that one of the gentlemen that trains our designer came in and designed that at the time, months ago.
Yes.
and he put in a temporary, and you liked how flat it was because the gums look perfectly flat. Now coming in for his second stage, his final stage, you called the designer over and you said, hey, take a look at what he did. You've seen the results already. You want to do it more often. We just learned. And that's something that you can't buy, because how would you even think about that until you see it?
Right.
So that's what we have over all those clinics. That, and not talking bad about any clinic, because there's clinics that are just barely starting and they're going to go on their dental journey and they're going to keep on growing and hopefully they keep on getting better and stronger. We hope that for everyone. But there's the clinics that are not strong, that use lies, and they're just really good at talking to patients perhaps, and that misguide people, and then people think that everything is the same, and that's completely wrong. So going back, I misguided a little bit. Having our own CAT scan, does that help?
Sure. I mean, if I want to take a CT scan at the moment, if I have questions or doubts of a critical implant that's going to be very, very precise, that I need to place it very precise, I could take it at the moment before I even close the flap. I mean, the patient just gets up, walks, 10 steps, 15 steps maybe?
Depends how tall you are.
And then they take the CT scan. I look at it in about 2 minutes, and that's it. I mean, it's great. It's also with the technicians that we have, that they have a clinical experience as well. They were the top assistants here at the clinic, and now they've been training around the world as well. They've been to Brazil. They have actually trained with the best technicians in Mexico. Also, the best technicians in Mexico have come down to the clinic to teach them directly with real cases that we're doing at the moment, that like the case that you mentioned today in the morning, that El Parce de las Muelas, really great guy.
Shout out to
Parce. Yeah, he designed that, and it's great. It's beautiful, and we have direct communication with him if we have any questions or anything, and he's always there for David. So
just like you do with Juan Gonzalez, and that's you cannot purchase that.
Nope.
Because when you get to that level of success, I believe that it's not about purchasing anymore. It's they like your work. They see your growth. He sees how young you are and how hungry you are. And you're hungry not just to make money, but you're hungry to become better. And becoming better means you change more people's lives and you give more possibility to patients to be able to have something permanent again. I'm a fair believer that now, you do zygomatics. I'm a fair believer that a patient that comes in, out of 10 patients that come in, how many patients you believe that you cannot help?
Now, none. I think none are going to
help all 10.
Help all 10. Yeah. Definitely with the training that I've had, with the experience that I've had, with the communication that I have with Dr. Juan, I fairly believe that all the patients can be treated for sure. I think that was one of the last steps was zygomas. It's very difficult. Not a lot of dentists do it. Not a lot of surgeons do it. Not even maxillofacial surgeons. But I believe with the experience and the hunger the training that I had, I'm a big believer in myself, right? But it gets to a point where if he saw that I was good enough and he believed in me, and he trains people around the world, and he's very honest, man. He's just a fair guy, and he's a straight up guy, and he truly says it how it is and how he believes it. He sees it. He's not going to sugarcoat things. And I straight up asked him, how do you feel about me? And he's like, you're going to go back and you're going to start doing them. He's like, you got this.
There you go.
So we came back and we started doing them, and we've been doing great. To this point, I still send him the post-up CT scan so he can look at them, and because I want him to critique my work. I want him, hey, what, this, that, and the other. And so far, so good, man. He's been proud. He's been proud. And that also reflects it on him, that he's been really good at teaching, which that's one of the best things that he does, is teach people, and he wants surgeons around the world to be able to help people out. And he's very happy that I'm able to help people out.
Well, your skill set, it's at a different level. And he was able to see that skill set. And your focus, actually, you beat yourself up so much when something doesn't go right.
Yeah, I'm my worst.
You beat you. If something happens on Saturday, and you come back on Monday and you're still talking about it, and you're like, yeah, I was thinking about it on Sunday. What could have been done differently? And that's a good thing and a bad thing, right?
Because it's good for the patient.
It's good for the patient. Yeah, there you go, patients. But it's also, bad because you got to let some stuff go and grow from it, and you do grow from it, but you torture yourself a little bit. You see all the different things you could have done. That just reflects the level of loving what you do. It's
loving what we do, and it's respecting the patient
because they put their trust and everything on us. So.
Yes, sir. You trust me. The clinic trusts me. The patient trusts me, and I hold that to a very high regard.
Yeah.
And I always want to do the best. And even though we do the best, sometimes, as you mentioned, there's complications, but there's complications as a part of life. We just need to know how to tackle them.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you're 100% right. Right now, the world's it's a different place. Shout out to, all those people from California that lost their houses. I've been following that, and I've been following with a lot of our patients, with Ben, with Susan, and they're showing me the fire's almost in their backyard. They're sending me videos of their friends' house, the cars, and it's just devastating. It really is devastating. And I sent you a message of we talk about blessed.
Yes.
Like, we don't realize how blessed we really are until we see something like this. We have a house, we have a roof over our heads. Some people don't have anything anymore, That's crazy. That's crazy. But going a little bit back to the full arch, one thing that Ernesto really wanted me to jump into is, the pick we know takes up 99.9% precise. So you do the implant, you do the PAT-C protocol, everything, different angles. We use the bone that's in the person's face. We know the implants that we thought that were not long enough, we actually made implants that were long enough, that we like the way that you guys are super critical about that. Pterygoids, zygomatic implants, you pretty much told me what brand to work with. We ordered them from France. From Italy? From Italy. And we got everything here. So you place those implants, everything's ready to go. We take that CAT scan, that's super clear, clean, crisp, Carestream 9600. They come back. We take the pick, 99.9% precise, send it to the lab. It gets milled with the Matix, one of the best milling machines in the world. We have the digital impressions for you to use from NextDent, which is the fastest printer, or we have a Siga, which is the most precise printer. It's like pick your poison, right? And then we get the Amangira back when everything's ready to go. We mill it to perfection. And then we have something that really blew my mind, and you talked about it, was the people that are our designers and our makeup artists pretty much are ingrown, are grown from our own team. They were our team leaders as assistants, and because of their responsibilities. And now I seen this past week in a video of somebody of Edith's work on the patient, and it looked beyond amazing. And she showed a video, and we'll put the video here, of the patient seeing himself for the first time, and he wanted her to be there also.
Yes.
What clinic do you go to that you actually care about the person who actually did your full arch, who actually did the makeup on it? That's what we're cooking here at Supreme. It's like everybody's caring for, it's one team, one goal, your smile. That's what we used to say, because this time it's a full team, from the moment we place the implants, from the implants that we picked to the brands that we picked. It could be Straumann, it could be Neo, it could be missing the one from Italy. What was it? JD. To you guys putting it on, to the different protocols, to the lab, to the technology we do before it gets to the lab, to it mills, to the designer who mills it, who then the person who does the makeup on it. What is the makeup called?
The ceramist.
The ceramist.
Ceramist, yeah.
Something like that.
The special screws that we use.
So we no longer have to use the sleeves.
Direct zirconia into the multi-unit abutments.
What does that mean to the patients? That it's not going to become loose as it would before. And we went through that before, so we know all about it.
Yes.
So, and that was one of the reasons that we decided to do our own lab too, because of the type of connection, and they didn't have that type of connection. I don't know if you remember that. So, all that together for one smile, that's a lot of stuff.
It's a lot of things in the background that a lot of people don't see, but what I like to do is I like to take them to the lab. I like the designer to come take a look so they can actually meet who's doing their teeth, and it's not just the dentist. It's a whole team, to the people that talk to them on the phone, the receptionists, assistants. It's a team effort to get their smile back. So it's fun. And also another thing, we're very confident with our work. As you know, we're not afraid, as you mentioned, to show our lab, to show our materials, to post our work, to post our CT scans, because we know that we're doing things right and we can compete with anyone around the world. And not everybody can say that. I'll leave it at that. Not everybody can say that.
And we seen, I just came back a couple, 4 or 5 months ago when I went to Florida to the Full Arch Summit. It was called Full Arch Summit. And I seen work that doctors were posting up there, and I'll send it to you guys. And the bone, no regularization. It looked like the sand dunes. It was just bad. And these guys were proud of their work. I'm thinking, if that's what they're posting, what are they not posting?
Yes.
So,
I mean, it gets to a point where, like, even the assistants, the owners of the clinic, the receptionists have a trained eye to know what's good and what's not good. Just imagine that, that you guys are used to good quality work,
right? And that's why you guys are here. I mean, obviously you guys do such a great job at what you do, from the assistants to the receptionist to a shuttle service, bringing our patients in and being nice and safe.
Shout out Don Francisco, right?
Don Francisco, both Franciscos, from Francisco and Francisco. And then our agents, being there for the patients. I know patients can be scared, but, they call them back. Sometimes they call them on Sundays. Sometimes patients, get nervous at a certain time, and they're there to hold your hand and walk you through and let you know. Then somebody just comes and says $2,000 cheaper, and people forget. But they will remember later on when something bad happens. So look, if you guys decide to go full arch clinic and you guys decide not to come to Supreme, just go to a place that you guys actually do your homework. If you have any questions, we're here for you guys. We are fully transparent from day one. We will let you know what we see, what can we do, and what we cannot do. Sometimes patients come with expectations that cannot be met.
Yes.
Or that, we've had some patients that it wasn't really what was going on here. It was more of what's going on up here, So we see everything here. We've been here for quite some time. And I'm super happy that we've been here. And being here all these years have helped us realize these things and come up with these things. I feel that every month that goes by is we get wiser. We get older. Oh, we get older. But we also get wiser, and we get better, and we get stronger, and we get faster. Every year we say, what are we going to do next year? 2023 was. What are we going to do in 2024 to beat 2023, Frank? And I don't know, all those things happen, man. It was lab, it was CAT scan, it was eternal beauty. Now you could be in the reception waiting for someone to get work. And you can get Botox. You can get a hydrofacial. We're about to roll up the IV sedation. The IV therapy. The IV therapy is going to be, when somebody flies in an airplane, they're already dehydrated by the time they come down. This is going to be something that gets you rehydrated, puts vitamins back into you. Perhaps you're not eating, but you can still get rehydration. 2 to 3. The day of surgery, the day after, the day after, the day before, the day of, the day after. You'll walk out of here feeling better. Your body will feel better than when you actually walked in, and your smile will be looking 1,000 times better anyways. So we want to combo all those things up. We have the little band, the little surgical band, to apply compression, to apply, ice, nice and cold. When you get back home, nice and hot. All those things. We're not just about the pre, we're also about the post care. We want you to follow you from the beginning all the way to the end. Like, we want it to be a dental journey, not a dental visit. So that's what we're doing here at Supreme. But thank you so much for being here, Liz.
And thank you for having us here.
Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for being here too, George. It was I called you up this morning to be able to do this. And Dr. Elias, I know you have patients to help out. And I mean, 2025, just like every year, when it starts, there's always something happening.
Unfortunately.
It's always something happening. And the magic is about how to make things happen. And we're going to make it happen. And we got a lot of patients that put their trust on us, and we're going to keep on delivering, that's for sure. So there's new technology coming in for veneers, straight from Dubai. And
courses and veneers that were taken
in Praga with, what's his doctor's name?
Maxim, what's his name? Maxim Brad.
Which is?
He's from Czech Republic.
And who is he?
He's one of the top veneer, crowns, and overlays teachers around the world.
And you know what he told Dr. Dulce?
I think he has the best academy on that around the world.
He told her that she's only the 4th dentist from Mexico to ever been to his course.
It's Maxim Belograd. Maxim Belograd. That's his name. He's a top guy.
So pick your poison. Pick your poison. It's going to be good. It's going to be good. And thank you so much for being here at Supreme Dental Podcast Studio, powered by Supreme Dental. Just like Dr. Elias, just like our patients, and just like you in the future, keep on smiling.
And if you don't know, now you know, you know, you know.
That's right.
And if you don't know, now you know, you know.